longtime friends. But college, when I grew up in a blue-collar home, and college just wasn't really discussed. I didn't take college prep classes. And it came to a complete surprise to myself and my friends and others in the auditorium at Davison High School that I scored well on the SAT test. And that gave me the kernel that, college is an option. It's something, it planted the seed. And I did 1 year of secretarial school at Mott, became a secretarial school dropout. Thought, I might as well hire in the shop rather than do this. But then after a year of that, I decided I needed something more, and I went back and I took my first educational leave. And I was met in personnel by a man who said, "Why are you leaving for college? You're just going to get married and have children." And this was the 70s. And I looked at him aghast and went my way. And so that's kind of how, and I ended up at U of M Flint, and I met wonderful people and got taken into the Flint community even more in downtown, which I still love to this day. I had my heart broken and wanted to get out of Dodge and went to MSU to graduate my last couple years. But really, my better education, my ties remained in Flint. But anyway, that's what it's for.
Sue, she gets it back. Which brings a comment out of me, of course. One of the really important things that does happen at college, besides what you took for a major, is it is an interesting place, a time to make a whole bunch of new relationships. And that may be as important as the degree you got stamped on your forehead.
Yeah, Ray, I just wanted to say your comment about having the big talk with your kids about thermodynamics is ridiculous. As a social science major, the talk ought to be about how the Electoral College functions.
Well, as a universalist, I can accept and honor that opinion.
Well, I've got to disagree with my good friend Harold Ford. Ray, ministers chose the right person to lead this discussion, in my opinion. And your comment about thermodynamics, science is important for us to be able to problem solve and analyze things. And so I thought it was very germane. Couple comments that I want to make as I saw this presentation. Obviously, the most important decisions in our lives are who we select as friends and partners. And yeah, it was important that I made the decision to become a teacher because that was very satisfying to me personally. But my best decision, and I don't know why she said yes, but for those of you who know my wife Ruth, wow, I'm so lucky.
Yep, you are.
Yeah. All right, should I go on to the next question? We still have a couple of minutes. All right. Oh.
Can I say?
Oh, yes, you can.
I feel like your comments on thermodynamics were very appropriate to what the question actually was.
Yes.
Because when we do put time into things, we realize that, they don't get the benefit from the time, necessarily all the benefit that from the time you put into it, and you always have to put more and more, particularly in relationships. So, thank you for that comment.
Oh, thank you for relating thermodynamics to relationships. She closed the loop for me.
Ray, would you restate your thermodynamics thing? I think Sue had said pause for a minute, and you got the best quote out before we started in the people online, and he's missing this joke.
Oh, missed out. You're right. You're right. Okay. See, and I just thought I was killing time. So the joke was, you know, of course, and here you're playing on people's expectation. I feel like that a lot of people don't give their kids the important talk. You know, it's tell them the truth about thermodynamics, because sex they're going to pick up on their own. But the truth is that no system runs for free, and if you're not aware of that, you're going to invest in perpetual motion machines or end up watching all those YouTube videos on machines that seem to work with no energy. So you have to keep putting something in. And as Bonnie says, relationships are like that. Every day you got to put something in, because you know the other persons or people in that relationship are putting something in too. And hopefully you've put enough in that the day you know, step on somebody's foot, say the wrong thing, there's enough goodwill there that they'll take a deep breath and wait for you to be in a better mood. All right, we've got 5 more minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and read the next one, because this is one I like. Does the modern world make it more difficult to make good relationships? Anyone want to comment on that?
Yes.
Oh, of course. Who? Put up your hand.
That's all I got.
Oh, okay.
I think, I'm looking around just to make sure, as the youngest person in the room, I think that the potential of however we want to define modern world, and I think in this question it's referring to technology, social media, things like that, you have to think about how you're defining a good relationship. And for a lot of people, especially of the younger generation, online relationships are equally valid to in-person relationships. There is emotional reward, there is connectedness. It's different for sure, but there's definitely validity to that. And for my family, technology and the modern world makes it easier for us to see Grandpa and connect with him because he can't travel anymore. And we have family in Alaska and in Wisconsin and Indiana, and all of us were able to sit down on Zoom on Christmas Day and say, hey. And it was 20 minutes, which was about as long as my kids could last. But it was a chance through technology that made a good relationship better. And I think that sometimes the push for more in-person, less online forgets that there are some benefits to technology.
Well, I agree with you. It's easy to always pick on the new stuff, but there is good things that happen.
I'm thinking at this point, it's beginning in early childhood of not being able to form relationship. When I was a child, it was go outside and play, come home at dinner. I recall all of the places in the neighborhood that I could go and didn't have to tell my mother where I was. All of the kids that I played with, not just my closest little friend, but everybody in the neighborhood, and you learned how to get along with people. And my fear is with children right now, somehow or other, we're afraid to send them to the park by themselves. When we had kids, they could still go, hop on your bike, go up to the park, play. I don't think we let kids do that. We make the play dates for them. They get the one child to play with that's their favorite. They don't have to learn to get along with everyone. So I'm thinking it may be more and more difficult to learn how to get along with all people for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren.
I'll let her decide. Yeah, I think that that's an interesting change in the world.
But I think like anything else, it's just, you know, as new technology, as new mechanics come along, we just have to learn how to adapt and adapt the life that we have to make the best for the people around us. Because with all things, you learn to use them properly, and life can get better because of them.
I have such mixed feelings about this subject. I was a teacher in the classroom or an administrator for 44 years, and I observed up close children before the advent of pervasive technology and afterwards, as it was making its way into our homes and into our classrooms. I believe that there are enormous advantages and there are enormous disadvantages in the technology that as a human species we are now interacting with. I would encourage anybody who's interested in this topic to read Last Child in the Woods. I can't remember the author right now, but she very forcefully, passionately describes what is being lost because children are losing in greater numbers contact with the natural environment as a result of being fascinated with gadgets.
All right, it's 11:30, and Sandra's smiling at me, so it's time to cut it off. I will make one more comment as you go up. I think it's technology. One of the downsides is it's easy to tell each other how we're afraid of each other. And I think this congregation is a bulwark against being afraid of people we don't understand. And I'm so glad to be associated with you guys.
Thank you, Ray. Well done. Our closing words today are by Susan Carlson. We leave blessed by our connections to one another, to the spirit of life. Walk lightly, that you see the life that is below your feet. Spread your arms as if you had wings and could dance through the air. Live to love and be a blessing to one another. And we will extinguish our chalice with these words. Please join me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And as a reminder, there's coffee in the foyer.